Mayor Harmon, running for a third term. If you are reelected for 2 more years, what will your priorities be?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I think a lot of it is continuing on with the good work and the good leadership that we've had in the last 4 years, but certainly we will be doing everything through the sort of meta city goal of COVID recovery and resiliency. So housing will still be a priority, sustainable transportation, climate action, and certainly fiscal responsibility and downtown vitality. And we will move forward with all of those goals would be my expectation while we prioritize the recovery from the health and economic impacts of COVID.
What issue are voters bringing up to you most these days?
Definitely COVID. That seems predominant, but housing still is one of the #1 things that I hear about. And also what's new this year is a conversation around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so that's been coming up quite a bit. And so in addition to those goals that I previously mentioned, I would anticipate also adopting a new major city goal of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We already started that process with our diversity task force, and I would hope that that would be able to move forward with a long-term major city goal around equity.
How can the city help local businesses get through the pandemic?
Yeah, so we've done a lot already. Just a few of those things have been a small business relief program where we were able to partner with the Community Foundation and the Chamber of Commerce and give out, I think it was about $260,000 to some of our local small businesses. So that was one thing we've done. We have a new fast tracking permitting policy for re-tenanting. So we know that where we've lost some businesses, we want to make sure that those folks can get, businesses can get re-tenanted right away. So we're trying to get new tenants in there from a city's perspective in 1 week or under. We have an economic development director that is spending, I think, almost 24/7 interacting with small business owners and trying to help them build a bridge between the struggle that they're currently in and future success. And so, and our Open Slow program, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with by now, those are all of the parklets that we've been able to extend out to keep the restaurants going and also open up our parks to our wellness businesses to help them be able to both maintain their business and help the community maintain their wellness.
There have been more Black Lives Matter protests and calls for police reform in the city of San Luis Obispo than any other city in our region. Why do you think that is, and what's your takeaway from it all?
Well, we're the county seat, we're the biggest city. We have the university here, so certainly this was predominantly a youth-led movement, not just here, but all around the world. Some of our young leaders stepping up to lead this movement. And so I think those are some of the reasons, but also I have heard from some of the activists that they feel that this is where they can make the most difference, where we can really have the most robust conversation here in the city of San Luis Obispo. And so those are all the reasons that I'm aware of in terms of why we've had so much of a robust protest situation here in the city of San Luis Obispo.
Finally, one or two issues we haven't touched on that you'd like to bring up.
Yeah, well, climate crisis continues to be a huge concern. You know, as I look out my window, and I'm sure as you look out yours, the sky is full of smoke yet again. It's another high heat day, and all of the issues that we have always been anticipating with climate crisis. So the city will continue to prioritize action on what we feel like is one of the biggest issues of our time. But even that goal will be done again in partnership with this meta goal of COVID recovery. So under climate action, we will be prioritizing projects and policies that have the dual benefits of carbon reduction and hopefully job creation. And so I think climate continues to be important, as we mentioned, housing, and I also think childcare and the lack thereof is really rising to the top as a major concern for especially young families here. It predates COVID, but it's been amplified by COVID, and so I think we'll be trying to find even more pathways to create more accessibility and affordability for childcare as well.
And why are you the right person to lead San Luis Obispo for the next 2 years?
I have a lot of experience, and I don't think that in this time of crisis, in this time of crisis, it's a time for experience. It's a time for someone who has spent not just the last 4 years, but in many ways the last 30, really building relationships in this community, the type of relationships that are essential to partner with to traverse these really challenging times. And I've been able to deliver on a lot of my promises to this community. We gave out the first tiny home permit in the state of California. That was a campaign promise that I made. We expanded some of our open space to create more access to folks in the wintertime. That was one of my campaign promises. We have created more housing and more affordable housing. That was one of my campaign promises. And honestly, the list goes on. And so I'm here for the community. I show up every day, and I do my best to deliver on my promises.
Harmon, thank you very much.